Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and this will be a bombshell to some. It will be largely ignored by the mainstream media, and it'll be old hat to somebody like me who knows these operations are taking place, has been talking about them. In fact, while we were on the 18th anniversary of 9/11 yesterday, one of the things I talked about at length in the Israeli operatives and cover-up of 9/11 sections, basically those were two chapters in a row, was surveillance from Converse, Amdocs, and then kind of their on-the-ground network that was derived of not only the art students, but these people at mall kiosks throughout the country, right? So today, Politico is putting this out. All right, and we're going to go deep on this article. Israel accused of planting mysterious spy devices near the White House. Now, I want to also assure everybody that this program is pre-Trump. And, of course, now that it's kind of official and been leaked out there, because we didn't have a big press conference about it. We didn't have a big roundup. Everybody involved in this, and we're talking about high-level intelligence officials, high-level people within the FBI, says there were no repercussions. Okay? Let me repeat that. No repercussions. And, by the way, Homeland Security, an agency I can't stomach, been aware of it since 2018 at the very least. This is actually a paper on it. They were aware of it prior to this. So this is basically a network of what are called Stingray devices, okay? And we're going to show you a little clip from ABC News talking about these Stingray devices, because this is part of the Track Trace Database Society I'm always talking about. Used to be military, now it's law enforcement. Obviously, it's used in spycraft, and especially in this network. We're not saying they were able to infiltrate the president's phone calls. Who knows? But what they are looking for are the private conversations of aides, people that work in the White House, their networks, their associates, not only in the White House, but around Washington, in the Capitol building, etc., and setting up these box-like devices that you can see right here behind me in certain areas. And, I mean, this article says there is no doubt that this is an Israeli operation, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. So let's take a look at what these devices are capable of.
Whether you're here, or at one of these, it doesn't matter. This can find you. The common name, Stingray. Technically, a cell site simulator. First developed for military use, it's made its way into local law enforcement. It can track a person down to the room they're in if they have their cell phone on them. Stingrays turn these into homing devices.
So let's just stop there. So yeah, that's right. If you have your cell phone on you, and most of them have a built-in battery, even mine does. My last several have not on purpose, but I just couldn't find one that I wanted to do the things I wanted with a removable battery. So right there, this is law enforcement using it, but these are the types of devices we found in this spy ring.
And that's just the beginning.
These are tracking devices. This is emitting a signal. This is GPS.
Mike Mino with the North Carolina branch of the ACLU has been watching the spread of Stingrays for years.
It's my understanding that the software that a lot of these devices use is capable of capturing things like your text messages, the numbers you're calling and receiving calls from. We know for sure they're getting people's location.
Here's how it works. Cell phones are always trying to connect to nearby cell towers. A Stingray acts like a cell tower decoy. In what's called a man-in-the-middle attack, it tricks cell phones into thinking it's the nearest cell tower. Phones connect to the Stingray, and police can access a range of personal information.
Oh! Police, or Israeli operatives, or NSA, CIA. You got to understand, even though in many of these operations, the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia, etc., do work together, Pakistan, that type of intelligence network, they're all running espionage on each other. And that's not an excuse. I mean, Netanyahu's saying, We didn't do it. It's a blatant lie. If you see towards the end of this article, you'll see what's his quote here. I just told him our conversation was over if he had such a low estimate of my intelligence. And of course, we're doing the same thing in Tel Aviv through our networks. But if you don't think that they are the most aggressive network, our ally, okay, running operations against the United States, you're just not paying attention. I mean, this, Politico is far from a left-leaning publication or an anti-Semitic publication. This is how real geopolitics works. And they say all of their goals are in support of Israel. Period. So let's read some of this, because it is important to put a spotlight on how this is really working, because it's causing us to be entrenched in the Middle East. I got done with that Air Force One propaganda piece on 9/11 that, everything was a mistake, and, that was the big reveal. It was a bunch of horseshit and cover-up, okay? And that's what this is when they say, was it us? It's just like it wasn't you when Jonathan Pollard got caught spying on the United States, got a life sentence, and then recently, within the last few years, we released him anyway. That wasn't you. So the Israeli operation that was picked up pre-9/11, on 9/11, and after 9/11, that wasn't real either. The U.S. government concluded within the past 2 years that Israel was most likely behind the placement of cell phone surveillance devices that were found near the White House and other sensitive locations around Washington, according to 3 former senior U.S. officials with knowledge of the matter. But unlike most other occasions when flagrant incidents of foreign spying have been discovered on American soil, the Trump administration did not rebuke the Israeli government, and there were no consequences for Israel's behavior, one of the former officials said. Shocking. The miniature surveillance devices, colloquially known as Stingrays, mimic cellular towers. We just went over all of that, what they can get from it. The devices were likely intended to spy on President Donald Trump. Probably more, let's stop. Probably been around since the previous administration. Probably on the Obama administration and beyond. Okay? One of the former officials said Trump, but come on, as well as his top aides and closest associates. Though it is not clear whether the Israelis' efforts were successful. Yeah, I'm sure they're running these operations and they're not working for them. Give me a break. Again, it continues on. Based on a detailed forensic analysis, the FBI and other agencies working on the case felt confident that Israeli agents had placed the devices, according to the former officials, several of whom served in top intelligence and national security posts. Thanks, Port Film Co-op. Why can't anyone live without cell phones? That's tough these days, because you have everything at your fingertips, the magic box that does everything. The analysis of one, the former official said, is typically led by the FBI's counterintelligence division and involves examining the devices so that they tell you a little about their history, where the parts and pieces come from, how old they are, who had access to them, and that will help you get where the origins are. For these type of investigations, the Bureau often leans on the National Security Agency and sometimes CIA, DHS, and Secret Service playing a supporting role in specific investigations. It was pretty clear the Israelis were responsible. So again, you're probably going to see crickets in the mainstream media. You'll see defer, deny from Netanyahu. There won't be a peep out of the Trump administration. I would be shocked if anybody in the mainstream media dared ask Trump or Pence or any of their little puppets who's, what this comes from, period. Again, we're glad Bolton's gone, but there's also news today that Trump is considering having Pompeo be both. Disastrous, ridiculous, terrible, an awful idea. And with that being said, guys, I'm doing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos a day. This is already dose videos. We're covering everything out there from biometrics, the track trace database, society, a little bit of MMA, Epstein, Nexium, Bilderberg, the Technopoly. We've got archives of who? Jordan, Maxwell, Webster, Tarpley, G. Edward Griffin, 9/11 whistleblowers like Anthony Saltalamacchia. So much to watch and go over here. And I want to thank you guys. We're almost at 34,000 subscribers, on the way up to 40K, then 50K, then hopefully 100K. Let's grow this audience together. It's not about left or right. It's about right and wrong, and that's why we call out nation states. And it's not really a nation state, it's their intelligence services. It's not everybody in Israel. There are deep politics there. In fact, I would encourage you to go check Patrick Henningsen and I's latest video. Where is that? That's Sovereignty here, to get a really good look at the inner workings of the current political situation in Israel. So, that being said, I'm doing this with your support, $5, $10, $15. That means the world to me. It keeps this going. It keeps this broadcast moving and grooving. And with that being said, I'll see you guys on the flip side.